Thanks, Sean. Let's have a look at the BP Ultimate Grid for race number 2 of the NZV8's. Angus Fogg starting off the pole alongside Kane Scott. Go back to row 2, Craig Baird and John McIntyre.
We can get filtered back through to Jason Bargwanna and Andy Boothie. Boothie coming off an absolute sterling job in race 1. Andy Knight and Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, Andy Knight, one of the biggest movers from 19th to 7th. Paul Manuel alongside John Penny. Penny with a good run there. Martin Short and Eddie Bell make grids 11 and 12.
Then go back to Nick Ross and Timmy Edgell. Of course, Timmy being the result of turn 3 on lap 1. They got filtered back through. William Bamber and the man we just spoke to, John Hepburn.
And to complete the grid lineup, Simon Richards and Andrew Anderson. And the final car on the grid, David Hopper in the number 33 Holden Commodore. So again, there's lots on here for race number 2. A really entertaining and crucial race 1, especially for Angus Fogg, who now has the championship lead by just 5 points over Craig Baird, with Kane Scott making a small gain. He's just 78 points out of the championship lead. We're on board with the former 2-time series champ.
They've all got the game faces on at the moment. Everybody going through that pre-race strategy. See Kane needs to adjust the helmet. Look, a little bit of controversy for this race because there was a bit of a hearing about that incident with Timmy Edgell, and I know Craig Baird and a couple of other drivers were tied up, but we just see they've started from the original grid position, so obviously nothing come of that. Andy Knight, we've seen that car come from the back of the field up to the starting position, very strong. Boothie, as we know, come on very strong towards the end. Paul Manuel, they had a mechanical issue on that car from lap 3 of the first race, so he was basically just trying to bring that thing home. He done a sterling job as well, so there's a lot of guys in this row 4, 5 and 6 that are just going to turn this race on its head.
Yeah, Paul Manuel alluded to as we're on board with Johnny Mac. There was in the opening corner, turn 3, he was actually shot there from Timmy Edgell, just that concertina effect into the left rear, and it put the rear end out of alignment with the Oryx Commodore, so that explains why he went back so quickly.
Yeah, so he was just suffering with that car, but the good news is he got back. Here's Scott McLaughlin on board.
8th place finish. He got off the exit of turn 3 in avoidance of the incident that claimed Tim Edgell, but he charged his way back through the field. The majority of the drivers pretty happy. A couple of little changes through the field setup-wise. Foggy's pretty happy, but he's just made some minor changes to try and keep ahead of Kane Scott.
He has. Honestly, had a look through the V8 pits, and Angus, he was just sitting back there signing autographs for the tons of fans that are here this weekend at Timaru, and he just looks so relaxed. He's such a good character. He's in a good frame of mind at the moment. He's starting off pole position, so he is going to be a very hard man to beat. We know he's got the car speed. At the moment, he can do no wrong. On
board with Martin Short, an 11th place finish in the first race. Angus Fogg, of course, won that one from Kane Scott, Craig Baird, John McIntyre, Jason Bargwanna and Andy Booth. And Boothie looking very, very strong. Probably the best race car we've seen at the end of a race for the Rock FM Commodore.
They are. Those guys keep making wholesale changes. As you see the car in the pitch now, Angus Fogg, they make subtle changes, Jamie, because they just wait for the conditions of the track come to the car. Holden guys, as we say, they're making big changes, and it looks like Andy Booth and Paul Manuel in particular, they're heading in the right direction, because all of a sudden those guys are now, you know, maybe just inside the top 10, comfortably inside the top 5.
Well, after race 1, Craig Baird gave up a 10-point championship lead to now be 5 down behind Angus Fogg as this championship continues to just go backwards and forwards through the points. They're going to line up for the second race of the weekend.
Watch for the outside of turn 1. Johnny McIntyre will not give Craig Baird an inch of room. Kane Scott, he's got to decide what he's got to do. Angus Scott, he had a clear run, but it's not preferred where he is. Bring it on.
Angus Fogg didn't get a great start at the beginning of race number 1, race 2 for the NZV8's from the juiced up 200 here at Timaru International Motor Raceway. Jason Bargwanna sitting there in the 3rd row. Fantastic sight. Let's go racing. The charge down into turn number 1.
Oh, Bargwanna in the back of Craig Baird's car. That's allowed Johnny McIntyre to get inside him.
They're all side by side.
Kane's got the grass.
Kane to the grass, and Fogg on the outside. Bargwanna, and then you'll also going wide off too. On board with John McIntyre. So it was all very, very busy down through 1 and 2, but I think the majority, if not all of them, have got away with it.
So far, you have to say, a bit of a scrappy turn 1 and 2. We expected that here at Timaru. Andy Knight on the grass. He can't stay there for much longer. That we do know he's inside of Jason Bargwanna.
Wow. Baird, 3rd ahead of John McIntyre, trying the crossover.
No, nothing of that.
McLaughlin, where's he come from? He's got by Jason Bargwanna.
Well, Bargs and Johnny McIntyre actually got together on turn 1 and 2, and that's probably why we've seen him get filtered through and the other guys taking advantage.
With Kane Scott, Craig Baird, John McIntyre. Foggy's got the race lead, survived a little bit of contact as Kane Scott Round down just had probably 2 wheels on the grass down through 1.
Right there, first Commodore, Andy Booth positioned in place number 5. Scott McLaughlin, another hold in 8th, and we go right back to Paul Manuel, back to 9th.
End of lap number 1 of 12. Fogg, Scott, Beard, McIntyre, Booth, Knight, and Scott McLaughlin.
Oh, look at that, Andy Knight just mothering the curbs. Booth, he made a bit of a mistake there. Nothing will come of this.
McLaughlin.
They're getting impatient, aren't they? You can just see this unfolding right now.
Yeah, they need to get it done and make passes when they can as early as possible. They start to stretch out. So the championship implications, Angus Fogg looking to extend further with Craig Baird back there in the 3rd spot. Booth try and hold off Andy Knight, who's got great car speed, set the 3rd fastest lap in race number 1 behind Kane Scott. He set a new track record here at Timaru.
Just get that car circulating. He's a very smart man, this Andy Knight, very level-headed, so he'll know when to take his moment. Oh, Scott McLaughlin just on the throttle. Unfortunately, Andy Knight was right in front of him.
Knight having a look at Booth on board. This is right on the left front bumper of McLaughlin's machine.
One thing we've seen from Scott McLaughlin now that we haven't seen in the previous races, he's getting racy. He's starting to give these guys a bit of a love kiss every now and then to remind them that he's there. He's taking the aggression to these guys. Good to see, all part of his development.
Well, he's jumped ahead of Jason Barguana, who finished 5th in the first race, back on board with McLaughlin. Booth just maybe holding up Andy Knight a touch. They're losing track with the top 4. There's Paul Manuel, John Penny, who's having a really strong weekend in the Penny Homes Ford.
Currently 10th. Yeah, he's probably his best consistent showing all season, so he'll be happy to be in 10th place at the moment. Tim Edgell back to 13th. He's making inroads, considering that he got knocked back to the back of the field in turn 1 in the race 1.
Yeah, Edgell with a 14th place finish in the first race, having got turned around in that sort of opening exchange in the first few corners. John McIntyre, he's lost a little bit of ground in the opening laps behind Craig Baird.
Speaking of Angus Fogg, he said his car was absolutely blistering for the first 2/3 of the race. Then it started to suffer and Kane Scott come on song. So if Kane can live there for the next 3 or 4 laps, you have to say he looks the stronger package at the moment. Oh, Andy Knight down the inside of Boothing, nothing will come of that.
A little bit of contact off the exit though. McLaughlin's got a great view of this battle.
Yeah, it's starting to get a bit scrappy.
Still Fogg, Scott, Beard, gap back to McIntyre, another gap back to Andy Booth.
You hit the nail on the head before, Jamie. It looks like Boothie's probably just slowing these guys down enough. It's allowed the top 4 cars to get away, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars all in this battle for 5th place.
Well, if Boothie's set up to be better later, it's hurting him here in the early laps. He's losing a second a lap to the leaders. Angus Fogg has gone quickest with a 106.751. Kane Scott at a 106.817. Beard, 106.89 Ford. Johnny Mack is not in the 6s yet, a 107.1.
After that, then you almost got to go back a whole second. Andy Booth at 67.9. So his top 4 cars are certainly making it look a bit easy at this stage.
On board with Kane Scott, there's Angus Fogg. That's how close they are for 1st and 2nd. Fogg can't afford to make a mistake here because Scott and probably Craig Baird certainly are close enough to seize the opportunity.
You're right, we saw that race 1 with Paul Manuel. He just hesitated for a minute, and unfortunately one car went through, 4 or 5 took advantage as well. And you're right, if Angus Fogg does make a mistake, it's allowing both those cars to take the opportunity for the position.
On board with McLaughlin, who is in the 7th position. This is 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th with John Penny. As I think Beardo had a big look at Kane Scott.
Down the inside. Now Kane's come over. That is the only move, and saying that he's actually coming back over to the track, just letting the car drift again. Craig had a look on the inside. Of course, it's not, you can look on the inside, but you've got to get a clean run off turn 3 because it comes onto the straight. So obviously just throwing a dummy at Kane Scott there, nothing come of it.
Well, Craig Baird can see further points loss here to Angus Fogg. The difference between 1st and 3rd is 15 points. That would take the championship lead out for Angus Fogg to 20 points on board with John McIntyre and the Blackwoods Pikels.
Now look for the run down the inside here of Craig Baird. No, Kane Scott comes across to defend it. What can Craig Baird do here? Not much.
So John McIntyre and the Blackwoods Pikels protect a safety Ford in 4th, and he's about a second back off this battle for 2nd. Foggy's got a little bit of breathing space now. The gap at the start-finish line last lap was 4 tenths. It's now out to 9 tenths. Kane Scott losing half a second, over half a second on that last lap. So Andy Booth being monstered here by Andy Knight. Andy Knight needs to probably show just a little bit of patience, but also needs to try and find his way around the Rock Holden.
You're right, he's got to get the show on here. So, of course, I think that's his game plan, Jamie. He's doing everything he can, but at the moment you have to say any big. But, oh, a bit of damage here with David Hopper.
Yeah, just some front-end damage to the Hopper.
Should we look through the field and see which one's got the back-end damage, and that'll tell us who he made.
Well, that gap will match the pieces missing out of the back of someone else's car in front of them. So here's Andy Booth and the Rock Holden. Keep an eye on his lap times. If he starts getting quicker, let's have a look at the Pete Candy Freeze replay. There's Hopper off. He's already got that front-end damage. And Willie Bamber just slips up the inside of the second of the LG Fords.